Welcome back to the Center on Buffalo podcast. This week's guest is former Buffalo Bills center, not me, former Bills center, current media personality with the NFL. You can find him on NFL Network. And he also just released a podcast called Monday Mornings with Mitch, and that's Mitch Morse. He's a friend of the podcast. He's been on before. Excited to get back on with him and chop it up, see what he's up to now, how this transition out of the NFL is going, being his first year out of the league, and then also what he thinks about the Bills this season, and then specifically this week's matchup against the Ravens. Enjoy the podcast. Thank you to all of you out there that have subscribed to the podcast. If you haven't already, please subscribe, rate, review the podcast, and then please leave in the comments some guests that you would like to hear on the podcast in the future. Enjoy and go Bills.
Hit us up on all social media at The Buffalo Pod.
Mitch, welcome back on the podcast, brother.
Buddy, I really appreciate having me on. It's always a treat being on your platform. You do it so well, and I can't thank you enough for bringing me back.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I got to see your beautiful face all over NFL Network this offseason. You're doing Good Morning Football. You got your podcast out now. Just watched the episode. You had Josh Allen on for your first episode of Monday Mornings with Mitch. So how tough was it to get Josh to agree to be the first guest on there?
Well, I think the biggest thing, first of all, was Josh was hesitant, not because he wanted to do other things or he didn't have time to do it, but it was just knowing me. I wasn't the most exuberant personality, let's say. Like I love busting balls, all that stuff, but not to sound like a weird hardo, which I'm not by any means, but like when I was in the building, I was definitely in work mode, right?
Right.
But I've talked about before, you kind of got to let your freak flag fly a bit. And so he was under the assumption that I was being held hostage, was his own verbiage. And I had a good chuckle of that, but we were talking off air. It was an incredibly gracious thing for him to do. I mean, we're banking on him 100% to, first of all, say yes, which was great, but also kind of put the platform out there, right? Like,
right.
He didn't have to do that by any means. And it was a huge charity case, him coming on, and we really appreciated it. And he, of course, produced, which was even better.
Yeah, he was good. There's some awesome stories. I won't ruin those stories, but there's one about you farting on his hand.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure you can relate to, I mean, maybe not ripping ass on someone's hand, but stuff like that happens, dude.
No doubt. Well, and that's like me and Fitzpatrick. If something like that happens, we're cracking up laughing. You talked about how Josh didn't talk to you for 48 hours after it happened, which Josh was a little younger at the time. Maybe took some offense to it and all that. But the send-off he gave you at the end was awesome, though. And, like, I mean, Josh can bust balls with the best of them. He can be the biggest clown you've ever met in your life. But when he talks about how you're the best dad and husband and friend and all that, then that was really cool. And, it's highlights like those from these podcasts that, make it worth it. Tre'Davious White gave me one like that a few weeks ago. I'm like, buddy, you're going to make me cry before we even get going here. But we also caught some strays from my buddy Josh Reed. He had Brandon Bean on at the Panthers game the other night. Where were we at? No, Buccaneers. He interviewed him before the game. And the last question he asked was, what's with your former centers and feeling the need to start a podcast nowadays?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Of course it's ball busting, but I mean, listen, dude, I think the thing I realized was when you put yourself out there, if you take everything too serious, written about you, saying anything about you, everyone's got the right opinion, and you put yourself out there like, fuck, dude, you better buckle up because your ego is the reason why you're on here. If your ego can't take a few shots, then you got to kind of figure it out. But that's pretty funny. I had no idea that.
No doubt. And when you're transitioning out, being able to talk ball and be at our house and be able to still be around our families, like this is a pretty good alternative to when I was doing college football games and leaving on Thursdays and getting home Saturday nights or going straight to a Bills game. This is a lot better platform, and this is more in my wheelhouse. So that's why we are doing this, Josh Reed. All right, so we're coming up on Bills-Ravens week 1. It's your first NFL game. I mean, obviously we had some preseason games. First game that you're not going to be in uniform in over a decade. What's the feelings like right now? What's the emotions like?
That's a great question, and I'm a little hesitant to answer truthfully because I don't want people to be taken off. It feels unbelievable.
Good.
I could not imagine myself. I can can sympathize with the guys, but right now I cannot empathize. I mean, granted, sure you can empathize, but I just don't see myself out there playing. And I think that's clarity that a lot of guys miss maybe, and or don't have the opportunity to. So I don't take that for granted by any means. And it's not taking away from the guys who feel that way, right? I find myself very grateful to have this feeling that I can garner. But that being said, I do feel like it's going to sneak up on me. I'm not incredibly naive. I might be blissfully naive, but we'll see how it goes. But right now, where I'm at, it's we're staying busy doing this, and I'm having a blast just watching as a spectator. Of course, you have, and you can attest to this, right? Like watching football, especially Bills football. For me, they're Chiefs, Jags, even Mizzou. Like you are going to have vested interest, right? But
Right.
I still can find myself even in those instances. Maybe not so much for the Bills, just because, and I still know so many people there, but just being fairly objective about it. But it's great.
Yeah. And look, I call the games and I want them to win. And I'm the guy after the game when they do inevitably lose a few regular season games. That's like, this happens in the NFL. Like being a fan and going all in and getting ticked off when they lose, that's what makes sports fun. Like the fact that it incites emotion in you. But I'm generally the one that's just a little bit more objective after the game. Like the Bills are going to be fine. They're really good. They're going to make the playoffs. Yes, we want the 1 seed. This may affect that, but it's going to come down to a couple plays at the end. And hopefully this is the year that we get over the hump. But it's all going to be okay, I promise. And it's a lot different feeling when you're a player and you got to walk in there Monday morning, watch the film, and live in the 24 hours of agony after any loss, which we had plenty of those throughout my career. But anyways, it's a lot different on this side of things. Let's take a moment to hear from one of our podcast partners, and that is our good friends at Waterboy. These are my favorite hydration packets out there. Use them multiple times a day. Every morning, I start off with one first thing in the morning, get that cellular hydration right. So go check them out at waterboy.com. And right now, with an order, they will give you a free trial pack of some of the other ones to try as well. Go check them out at Waterboy. I got to ask you, have you been watching Hard Knocks on the Bills?
Yeah, I think like anyone involved in any way with that organization at some point, especially like you've spent probably a year's worth of your time at St. John Fisher, right? Like
Right.
you have residency at those dorms. Like I spent not as much time, but it is fun to see folks kind of put you in that position. Like, oh, I've been in that team meeting room. I've been in that locker room. I've been on that practice field, made that walk down that hill. But the great thing is just you can tell the Bills kind of have Hard Knocks and a vice grip by the balls, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
With having that winning season, I think they're doing it right. When people give that feedback that it's boring, that's exactly what they want.
Yep.
And I watched the first few episodes. The great thing about it is being on social media now. The Bills folks, like the beat writers, all that stuff, they put the clips that I want to see on there, so I don't have to go through and navigate the whole thing. That being said, the narrator's got a beautiful voice.
Oh, yeah.
And he keeps you in, and then you have guys that So I watched. It's a long-winded way of saying I watched like 2 episodes, and then I've just kind of got dabbles of it, whatever people post.
Yeah, we've been watching it, and some of the episodes we've let our kids watch, which they're 7 and 10. And so then the first episode was just a couple Joe Brady F-bombs, but they were positive. Like, that's what the F I'm talking about. That's what we have to want to see. Not like, well, episodes 2 and 3, really clean language. So we let our kids watch episode 4, which was the KJ Hamler F-bomb fest. And, but it's all good.
But like, I don't know about you, but training camp's already hard enough as it is, navigating just relationships, the stress of every day. And then you invite everyone in their living room to come out, and the football field it's wild, dude. I mean, you think about people like in your corner that watch the games that you're a part of that were like, hey, what was that blow up on the sideline about? And you totally forget, because that's just part of it, right? Like that's just part of it. So I sympathize a little bit in that regards. And this is another long kind of, bear with me here, but getting in this space, maybe you can attest to this, because I think you do a really good job of kind of portraying your emotions without letting cuss words fly. But I've had to cut plenty out just sitting back at night thinking about one day my kids are going to watch me on this platform And of course, I want it to be a little looser than other services and stuff. But you got to really watch because one day you're going to have to answer for it regardless. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting deal.
Well, I'll say this. When I was playing, I had as bad of a mouth as anybody. Bobby Petrino had the worst mouth of all time. One time in practice told me to watch my language in college. So that's
Yeah.
where I was at one point. When I got into the podcast space, I realized quickly that if you're an explicit podcast, this is when Apple Podcasts was like the biggest platform. They wouldn't promote you if you were explicit unless you were like the Joe Rogan types. So
Right.
that's part of the reason I cut the language out on the podcast, was simply just to make sure we were going to have the potential to be
Yeah.
promoted, whether
Yeah,
they were
that's
going to do
smart.
it or not. We had the potential to do it. All right, switching gears a little bit. Bills are going against the Ravens week 1. It's a huge matchup, obviously, just with the implications that both of them are likely going to be there at the end. This could affect the 1 seed, whatever that may be. When you look at the Ravens, schematically on the defensive side of the football, what makes them tough to prepare for?
Well, it's a good question. Kind of looking at just blitz percentage wise, I was shocked when I saw that they were last year only like 20%
Mm-hmm.
blitz percentage. Now, when they do blitz on those third downs, they're pretty spicy blitzes. They're gonna really test your communication stuff. But what they were able to do that makes total sense. Just seeing the guys in that front four, and even kind of that backfield is just they get home with pressure, 4-man rushes, just their rush patterns and stuff. And then you have guys. I was just looking at it, right. You bring in a guy like Jair Alexander, who's got a lot of juice. He's got a big personality, but what a great place to be, right, in a place with the Ravens. And then you have Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton, all those guys. And it's the AFC North. I mean, every time you play the AFC North, right, you better buckle your chin strap up because it's going to be a slugfest. So I was really interested in how effective they were in the run game last year. I think the big thing is just not getting deterred early if the run game isn't getting these huge gashes, because I promise you, if you do it over and over and you stick to it, which Joe Brady does, I think it's going to be pretty impressive. But to answer your question, they have a pretty stout defense, and what a hell of a way to kick off the season, dude. Than with the Ravens, it's going to be electric.
Oh, it 100% will. And, you had all the bitterness at the end between, Lamar should have won the MVP, but Josh got it. So that'll be fueling a lot of the fan narratives. And I mean, if you get on X, it's just a cesspool of Bills and Ravens fans going back and forth of why so-and-so should have been the MVP over the
Sure.
other. And then obviously these teams are going to be competing for a Super Bowl nod until Lamar and Josh are gone. The other big guy in the backfield, no pun intended, is Derrick Henry, 31 years old, almost rushes for 2,000 yards last year. Obviously, just an anomaly at the position that at 31, he could still do what he did last season. How much tread does he still have on the tires to be able to produce like that?
That's a great question. I mean, inherently, you imagine the running back position being a depreciating asset.
Yeah.
That's expedited through just what they're asked to do. I don't know if it's fair to say it until we see it.
Yeah.
I could have said it last year, could have said the year before. The guy he does it right. Just interesting to see what he does to take care of his body week in and week out. Tremendous, just the resources he applies to that. And I'm gonna have to answer that question when I finally see him taking it even a little bit less of a step that he's got, which is insane, dude.
Right. And then you combine the fact that you got Lamar in the backfield, so he's going to pull some guys with him. You have the 300-pound fullback in Ricard. You have the scheme that they run as well. So, yes, give him a lot of credit. He also has a number of factors working in his favor as well that also help him produce the way he did last year, but
Without
not
a
trying to
doubt.
take anything from him. He's one of the best running backs in NFL history. All right. So, when you look at, we talked about the Ravens, scheme and whatnot defensively. How tough are what's his name, Travis Jones and Matabwike? How tough are
No.
they inside for the interior?
Well, it was Justin Matabukwe, and he did change his name back to. I don't even want to get into it because I don't want anyone to take it the wrong way. I just don't know how to pronounce his first name. But
Right.
Matabukwe, and the other dude, was it Jones? Is that
Yeah.
right? Oh, Jones, 98, is a big old guy who I remember playing him in 2022, was impressively quick and functionally. Of course, he's strong, but he's functionally strong. And then Matabikwe is electric. I think he's one of the better defenders in the league, especially at that 3 technique, can rush from the nose, explosive. He's fast. He looks like he's Aaron Donald-esque in regards to just that his stature doesn't define his explosiveness. And
Right.
he looks the part. Truly, he looks the part. And when you can create that interior pressure or have those guys be good at understanding rush patterns and picking and just get guys on different levels, it's going to be an interesting battle. I think it's going to put a lot of, not stress, but a lot of onus on those guards to keep guys off the center's hip, off the tackle's hip. And then, of course, when it's a straight rush, just handling power, which, I mean, if you look at our guards, they're built for power. And it'll be fun. I think it's just a compliment to what they already have on the edge.
Yeah, it's going to be a good matchup up front. This episode is brought to you by Dan-O's Seasoning, my favorite seasonings on the market. I'm telling you, you got to try them out. All natural premium seasonings. And then they also got their new outlaw seasonings that you got to check out. Those break the rules, and that's why they call them America's most wanted seasonings. Go check them out right now. If you use the code Buffalo, you can get a 13-pack of their premium seasonings for just $65. That'll set you up for all tailgate season long this football season. Also make you look good at home on the grill. Go check them out at danoseasoning.com or use the link in the show notes. Yum, yum, get you some. All right, so we got some fan and listener submitted questions coming in now. Did you have any superstitions while you were playing before games?
I did. Weirdly, the one thing I had to do was trim my fingernails, and I had to. And I think it started with just getting that one hangnail that just totally ruins your day. With fingers, man, I'm such a pansy when it comes to finger stuff. But that turned into just kind of like a weird meticulous thing that really benefited, but also now looking at them, they're disgustingly long pig fingernails. But besides that, no, I always kind of prided myself on just trying to adapt to what the week brought. Having, of course, a schedule. I always was pretty strict about writing out what my game day schedule was going to be like, either on a Thursday or Friday, just to give myself a little bit of reprieve mentally, just so that I didn't have to wing it. But also the thing about that is then you have to give yourself grace if that you can't follow that to a T. So
right,
the fingernails was the only thing that I absolutely had to do.
Piggybacking your story about Josh Allen earlier and the fart that you ripped on him, I had a stomach ache before a game early in my career, probably 2010-ish. And so I went into the training room. I was like, where's the Pepto-Bismol? I need something. My stomach's rocking. So they hand me this fresh bottle of Pepto-Bismol, not like the mega size, but a pretty good size.
Sure.
And I drank a majority of it in one swig, threw it in the trash, ended up having an awesome game. For the rest of my career, I walked in the training room, I would grab a fresh bottle of Pepto-Bismol, drink a majority of it, and then I would look at the expiration date. And like a bottle of wine, we would say that was the vintage based upon it. We'd be like, oh, that's a good vintage there. This doesn't expire for a few years. This is a good one. And so the Bills training staff would come equipped with, however many, 20 bottles of Pepto-Bismol to get me through the season each year for each week. So stupid superstition. And I didn't even think about it. I haven't thought about that in years until I heard your podcast with Josh and you were talking about ripping one on him. I'm like, yeah, that's probably why it never happened in the games, because I was chalked up from the insides with all the Pepto-Bismol.
Yes, you got some chalky stuff going on there, Doug.
No doubt. All right, so this is the second year in a row the Bills are going to go with just two team captains, Josh Allen and Terrell Bernard. What's your thought on two captains as opposed to the 6 or 7 or however many we'd have in the past?
Yeah, that's a great question. It just, if you feel like those are the guys, those leaders that can be your voice, it doesn't mean that there aren't other guys who carry merit on this team. I'm sure, I think he does a leadership council, which he meets with every week. And I don't know if that's voted on now because the captains are only 2. It doesn't bother me. If it's what works for him, it's fine. I think the 2 guys they picked are pretty, just thinking about that locker room, are going to be great voices for those dudes.
All right, so this is a listener submitted question. It's the same RF from Arizona who submitted a question on your podcast. And first he says, do you have a product in routine with your beard?
Yeah, wow. I have a routine, which, I mean, you got to violently, because if you wake up some days and you don't give it a brush, like it's just like here or here or here. But there's no, RF has got a pretty spicy beard, if I can recollect. I mean, just a truly thing. I think I got into like weird, like beef tallow is like for like my skin products and stuff. Not that I use any skin products, but just like lotion. And so I'd rub a little bit of that in there. and it gives it a little bit of like spark and shine, but also I think if you've grown a beard before, the biggest thing is sometimes if you get that dandruff going, it's disgusting to have on your chest, like especially with the black shirts that I wear because I'm a fat boy. Um, but no, just giving it a really solid brush. My kids have this little spray bottle that they spray their hair with in the mornings, and then I'll just go in there, kind of spray it, use their combs, which is disgusting, but I do it anyways, and then just let it go. No, so nothing too crazy.
Nice, and I appreciate you calling this a beard. This is a poor excuse. This is actually just there for jawline. It makes it look like I actually have a jawline.
Well,
Just a
no,
little
what,
stretch.
dude? First of all, it's bullshit because you do. Like, yeah, that's the one reason why I'd ever want to lose weight, which I'm trying to, is that I want, and I got like that's my jawline right there, pal. So the beard is necessary. Like, I got no chin.
I'm with you.
No, you got a chin. You kidding me? Fuck off, dude.
I mean, I got chin, but I don't have jawline.
Okay, that's fair. But the beard's a beautiful thing, and when you have that like that pronounced chin, you can use just a little bit of the stubs, which you got. You don't need to grow the ferocious beast that I have to, which is a blessing. One day I want to get to that point, but right now, if I don't have a beard, it's just one big long neck, and then you hit my mouth and nose. It's fucking
Dude,
gross.
I'm with you. All right, so the second one from RF from Arizona was, how do you eat cheeseburgers with that mustache?
Ooh, um, the RF is very interested in food. I
Yeah,
found that he must have been a closeted fat boy.
oh, he loves food.
Yeah, he's a treat. You eat it violently, and you don't think about it until it's over. It does cause you to not pace it. So there's not much enjoying. It's really just kind of uh, shoving it down your throat. Pause and getting it. I mean, once it's over, then you can worry about that. But a lot of teeth, and I haven't really thought about that. But yeah, it's not good. It doesn't look good. It's disgusting.
Yeah, you got a little flavor saver up there. All right, so we're going to get to the rapid fire questions brought to you by Dano Seasoning. Number one, just had Josh Allen on. Besides him, who's a dream guest for the podcast?
Yeah. Wow. Well, for us, we're going to get a lot of flack for, I think, our next guest from Bill's Mafia, but I think he's great. And he plays for this team in the red right here. He's an offensive lineman. So we're trying to just kind of like we're not trying to pick and choose, but trying to really broaden it. That being said, I would love to have George Kittle on, just because I think he's an amazing football player, a super solid hang. And I think he would just be great at banter, but also give you some football substance because he loves it. He loves the game, but also loves what the game's brought to him, and he's able to express himself. And I think that's what's really great and what you want in a guest.
Yeah, Kittle's a beast. I got to hang with him down at the beer games with Taylor Lewan and Will Compton a couple years ago, or 2 summers ago. We had a good old time down there in Nashville.
I'm sure you did.
All right, last season in Highmark Stadium, do you have a favorite memory or a favorite game from Highmark Stadium from your time playing for the Bills?
Yes, I do. I was thinking about that. I would say it was after the DeMar Hamlin deal. We played the Patriots at home, and Naheem Hines hit 2 return touchdowns. And that first one, first of all, you're prepared to go out there, and when the guy hits a touchdown, you get to sit your ass down again. But also just what that meant, you could feel the stadium. It was palpable, man. Like there was something to it that is just, the electricity was unmatched, and it was a celebration. You could tell it was almost this huge sigh of relief. We almost lost the game, but that in itself was a real treat to see in person.
Yeah, that was an incredible experience. I'm glad I was there for the call for that one. All right, so you're coming back to town for the Saints game at the end of September. What's one wing spot you're definitely going to hit while you're in town?
I think Mulberry's.
Yeah,
I think Mulberry's wings. I'm just looking forward to seeing folks getting back to Mulberry's, having a little bit of red wine, but also those wings. And I mean, you're on that menu, right? Like it's a beautiful place to grab some food, but Mulberry's wings are tremendous. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, they're incredible. All right, last one for me. We need a score prediction for Bills Ravens this Sunday night.
Great question. I'm going to say it's going to be a slow start, but then it's going to kick up. I'm going to say 24-21 Bills.
I like that.
Tight one. It's going to be a real tight one.
I'd lock that in right now. With the injuries we have on the defense side of the football and in the secondary, we sneak out a win, which is, I mean, the Bills are favored in this game. It wouldn't be an upset if the Bills win Sunday night, but if they can get through this one, have an easier stretch, everyone in the NFL is good, especially early in the season when everyone's healthy, but get an easier stretch. You feel pretty confident about those next ones, but got to get this first one. Buddy, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to come on it. So proud of how you've transitioned into this media space and all that you're doing, but then still being at home with the family and doing all you're doing there. I'm proud of you, brother, and we'll have to do it again soon.
Yeah, please. This is such a treat, truly. And just to see how you've done this, kind of paved the way for guys like me, schmucks like me, to think they they have the opportunity to do this was exceptional. And I really appreciate you've. What people don't see is you've been incredible with information, resources. You rely on everyone to help you out, and you have been nothing but supportive. So hopefully I can return the favor one day. But until then, thank you so much.
No, you're the man. I appreciate you, brother.
All right, Doug, take it easy.